What's up everyone? Today we're going to talk about that question that everyone seems to have, and that is, how do I lose fat? So I'm going to tell you how I recommend you go about losing fat, give you a few pointers and tips on how to make that process easier, and also try to debunk a few fat loss myths. So let's get right into it. The first thing you need to do is find out your maintenance calories. This is the amount of calories that your body can consume and maintain the exact same weight. You can either track how many calories you eat throughout a week, take that average number over those 7 days, and that is your maintenance number of calories if you neither lost nor gained weight that week. You can also estimate your maintenance number of calories by multiplying your body weight by 15. This will give you a rough estimate of where your maintenance calories sit. Later in this video, I'll walk you through an example of how to set up your calories for fat loss. The first rule of losing fat is that you must be in a caloric deficit. This means that you're burning off more energy than you are consuming via calories. Now, how steep of a caloric deficit? My recommendation is that you eat as much as you can to lose weight. This will keep your metabolism running high, and it'll make sure that you don't feel starved. If you're already familiar with your caloric maintenance, try bringing it down to about 90 to 95% of your calories per day. This will put you in a slight deficit and you'll gradually start to lose weight. Now, a 5 to 10% decrease in your calories may seem very small, and it actually is. That's like removing a bagel from a 2,000 calorie diet. And so you may be tempted to actually take your deficit a little steeper, maybe drop it to 20, 30, 40, 50% of your daily caloric intake. And I'm going to tell you that this is not healthy, and I don't recommend crash dieting. Losing fat is a marathon, not a sprint.
I sprint marathons.
And losing fat will take a long time, a lot longer than you think. So being in a caloric deficit will help you lose weight, but how do we influence that weight and make sure that you are losing fat mass? Well, this is where it gets a little quantitative. Don't be alarmed, we're going to throw some numbers into the mix, but once you get the hang of it, it'll become very natural to you. Now, you may or may not have heard about macronutrients. Macronutrients are your basic carbs, fats, and proteins. Each macronutrient has a caloric value attached to it. For example, carbs and proteins are 4 calories per gram, while a gram of fat is 9 calories. Now, with that said, I'm going to teach you how to set up your fat loss macros. You may have heard the term IIFYM thrown around, or if it fits your macros. This is basically a style of eating where you eat foods based on your macronutrient goals. So today we're actually going to learn how to set up fat loss macros for an average 150-pound person. Alright guys, so before you can go about tracking your macros, you're going to need a macro tracking app. One of them that I recommend is MyFitnessPal. There are other ones on the market, but I found that MyFitnessPal has the most extensive library of foods, and therefore I found it the most beneficial for myself. So we just went over all the guidelines on how to set up your macros, and now I want to walk you through a step-by-step example. So this example is going to be for a 150-pound person. We're going to start with the maintenance calories. So maintenance calories, as we said, can be estimated to be 15 times your body weight in pounds. For example, if we have a 150-pound individual, then their maintenance calories would fall in the range of 14 to 16 times their body weight in pounds. For this 150-pound individual, this would come out to 2250 calories. This is the number of calories that they could eat per day without gaining or losing weight. But if we want to set up for fat loss, we are going to need to be in a caloric deficit. And as we said earlier, we want that to fall in the 90 to 95% range of your maintenance calories. So if you are a 150-pound person consuming 2,250 calories per day, you're going to want to drop that by 10% to 2,025 calories per day. This is going to be your deficit number of calories. Alright, so you found your maintenance number of calories and your caloric deficit. That's going to be 2,025 calories. But how do we know how we're going to distribute that number between your proteins, carbs, and fats? So as far as protein goes, when you're in a deficit, I recommend that you have 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. For a 150-pound individual, this is easy math, you're going to be having 150 grams of protein per day. Fat is very important for regulating your hormonal and metabolic functions. For that reason, I recommend 0.5 grams per pound of fat. For this 150-pound individual, they're going to be having 75 grams of fat per day. All your remaining calories are going to go to carbs. Carbs are very important though, because they are going to be your supply of energy. So over here, we're consuming 150 grams of protein, which is 600 calories. The 75 grams of fat is going to be another 675 calories. We are going to subtract these two numbers from our daily allowance of 2,025 calories, and we end up with another 750 remaining calories for the day. Now, since each gram of carb is 4 calories, we're going to divide 750 by 4, and we roughly come out to about 190 grams. So using this knowledge, we know that a 150-pound person is going to be consuming 150 grams of protein, 75 grams of fat, and roughly 190 grams of carbs per day and they will see fat loss. Now this is a great starting point, but when you hit the point where your fat loss stalls, you're going to want to decrease your calories slightly further, maybe by about 5%, and then you're going to apply the same logic to find your new macronutrient values. So I hope you found that example helpful to you and that you were able to understand how to set up your fat loss macros. Now I want to give you a few bonus pointers on how to lose that lingering fat. Number one is don't overdo the cardio. Now there's a common misconception that spending countless minutes or hours on a treadmill or elliptical is going to help you lose fat. Now you can use cardio as a tool to help you lose fat or put you into a caloric deficit, but cardio alone will not do the job. Now, if you're one of those people who like cardio, then you might as well keep doing it because you enjoy it. But if you hate cardio, like myself, then you don't need it in your regimen to lose fat. Similar to the last point, the number of times you go to the gym per week and the number of hours you spend while you're in the gym does not matter at all. Myself, I only work out 3 times per week and I'm in there for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. What matters is your caloric expenditure and your macronutrient partitioning. How often you go to the gym is really up to you. You can go once a week, you can go every day. It won't have a direct impact on your fat loss, but it will help you to preserve muscle, which is my next point. When you're aiming for fat loss, you will lose muscle mass. There's no way to prevent this because in a caloric deficit, your body is taking energy from every source it can, whether that's glycogen, muscle tissue, or the fat in your body. Pointer number 4, don't get discouraged. If you're trying to lose fat, you need to understand that fat loss is not linear. Your weight is going to fluctuate. It's going to have huge swings in either direction. You may notice signs of weight gain here or there, such as bloating, but you need to learn to trust the process. You may feel like you're not on track, but as long as you are following these steps, you're going to be losing fat. No specific food is going to help you lose fat. Social media may lead you to believe that eating avocados or snorting protein is going to help your fat loss, but this is not true. If it were that easy, you wouldn't have to be watching a guide like this one. But luckily, in the same vein, no specific food is going to make you fat. My point is, don't restrict yourself from eating the foods you enjoy. There's really no such thing as a bad food or a good food. Just be smart about what you're eating and make sure it is aligned with your fat loss goals and your fat loss macronutrients. Alright guys, so that's the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Be safe. Fat loss is a common goal, but you just have to be smart about how you're doing it. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.